Charlamagne the God gives accurate assessment of Democrats' prospects for 2024. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. I I'm surprised that he's coming out and saying this stuff. I think Charlamagne is slowly but surely becoming a little bit more red pilled as he goes along. Don't get me wrong; he still have his crazy leftist views, but I think he's definitely getting a little bit more red pill of late. And I really hate calling him the God, so we'll call him Charlamagne the God with the lowercase g. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Now, when you hit that alarm bell, you can change it from personal to all. That way, you get all my notifications for when I put out stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. Has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here, and there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out even more news. So check that out as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Democrats may have avoided complete annihilation in the midterm elections, but if they don't get it together soon, they may have only bought themselves some time. The 2024 election season is already upon us as politicians and members of the chattering class are focused 2 years ahead. The Republican Party is dealing with an identity crisis of sorts. They're still trying to sort out what went wrong during the midterms. Speculations as the presidential contenders has begun in earnest, especially after former President Donald Trump announced his candidacy for the White House. I don't know why anybody would want to go up against Donald Trump. Everyone knows that the main base of the Republican Party is MAGA Republicans. They're the foundation of it. They're the ones that help push Trump over the top in the 2016 elections. But what about the Democrats? After having lost the House, albeit by slimmer margins than originally expected, they are also dealing with an identity crisis, and everyone can see it. Radio talk show host Charlamagne the God gave a rather astute assessment of the situation in which the Democrat Party finds itself during a recent appearance on Fox News, in which he pointed out the reality of it does not have much in the way of a viable contender for the presidency in 2024. He suggests that if President Joe Biden is the standard bearer to run against Trump, it might not go like last time. Quote, I think it can go either way. Like, I don't think it's a sure thing, which is sad, right? It's sad that we're saying it's still a toss up between Trump and President Biden. He said, quote, I think that's more indicative of what Democrats are doing. And for me, I just don't see the bench that the Democrats have. I personally don't see the person that they could put up against put up in 2024 that could really galvanize and energize people. I mean, the fact that Biden is still there, safest bet. I think that's sad too, and I totally agree with that assessment. They don't have anyone on the bench. They don't have any. They don't have anyone else to push forward. And Joe Biden, he barely know where he is half the time. And later in the conversation, he said that Democrats' only possible saving grace would occur if someone unknown come out the woodwork to energize their base. He said, quote, maybe there's somebody that we're not even thinking of that is going to decide to throw their hat in the ring and, energize the country the way, President Obama did. Maybe it's somebody that we're not even really thinking about because they haven't been in that long but other than that, any of the players that we know, I don't see it, man. Even the prospect of Vice President Kamala Harris as a contender didn't make Charlamagne less bearish on the Democrats' prospect for the White House. He says, quote, no, I don't think I don't think Vice President stands a chance against Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis unless something magically changes over the next 2 years and she pivots greatly, But based on what we've seen so far, no, he said. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who has also been floated as a potential candidate, also didn't strike Charlamagne fancy. Quote, he's part of the LGBTQ community, so I think that gives him a lens of empathy that, a lot of people may not have. So he'll be able to see things from a lot different people's sides. But, I don't think, he says, I just don't know if America will embrace him because of those same reasons, the radio host observed. Charlamagne indicated that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis might have a better shot at the presidency than people seem to believe, noting that, quote, people are sleeping on Ron DeSantis. He continued, quote, I can't even believe the conversations I'm hearing with people saying, I don't think he can win the national election. Why not? What will make them think that he can't win a national election? Sorry to tell you, man. I'm from the South. I'm from South Carolina. More of the country is more like Florida than we may want to believe. The majority of America is more, rural and, full of conservative values, like in a place like Florida than there is, other places. I think when you live in New York or California, you might be fooled to think that's the world. That's not the world. The world is more southern and Midwest than anything. I totally agree with that point. People live in their bubble when they live in these big cities, like and they live in places like L.A. They live in cities like New York and these big states, these big blue states. They think the whole country is like that, when nothing could be further from the truth. The talk show host also suggested that DeSantis might be in a good position to challenge Trump in the primaries. He said his gut makes him believe that the governor might have a good chance of becoming a nominee, but also acknowledged that celebrity still has a stranglehold on the American psyche, which would work in Trump's favor. From where I sit, Charlamagne analysis is on point. This past year has shown us that the Democrats still don't have a valuable candidate to challenge Republicans for the White House in 2 years. Everyone they have on the bench is a weak prospect. This whole culture stuff that they're pushing, most people don't want that. Uh, I've said it on several occasions. What Charlamagne brought up, Democrats might need an Obama-esque figure who comes out of nowhere and captures the base imagination in a way that galvanizes them to show up on the polls. The only other option would be California Governor Gavin Newsom, who has already been testing the waters nationally. He is the only high profile Democrat who might have the charisma and political aptitude necessary to pull off a victory. But we got to remember, Newsom is in leftist California, that bubble that I just spoke of. But whether it is a newcomer or Newsom, it's clear that Democrats will have quite an uphill struggle when it comes to their prospects in 2024. If the Republicans learn their lessons from 2022, they might just be in a position to take advantage of their opponent's weakened state. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out themarkrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.